Good evening. First tonight, the campaign for urgent changes to our food labelling laws as new figures show someone in Jersey is hospitalised almost every day for either an allergy or anaphylaxis.
Well, tragically in the UK, there have been those who have died. Perhaps the most high profile, 15-year-old Natasha Ednan Laperouse, who ate a baguette with sesame seeds that was improperly labelled. Ever since, her parents Nadim and Tanya have strived to ensure other families don't suffer as they have, driving Westminster to introduce Natasha's Law, which forces food outlets to show full ingredient and allergen labelling on anything made on premises or pre-packed. We'll hear from them shortly, but first, Emma Volney reports on the island's first ever allergy conference.
Allergy information that could help save a person's life. This Jersey cafe is helping customers make informed decisions, but they're doing so out of their own choice. But at the town hall today, the island's first ever food allergy conference, which wants businesses to go even further and for a law to come into force.
Every week I'm contacted by people in the island, parents, individual allergy sufferers, who've had traumatic experiences, who have difficulty accessing things that we see as basic rights, food, play groups, restaurants, etc.
First to speak at today's event, the parents behind Natasha's Law in the UK that requires food outlets to display full ingredient and allergen descriptions on their products. A law that came into force in 2021, but still doesn't exist in the Channel Islands, much to the concern of doctors.
We need to gather all this force, all this passion in this room today to act as an impetus for change, and I'm hoping that by being here from Guernsey we can make that a pan-Channel Island approach.
Listening to all the speeches, islanders who can draw on their own experiences, including one parent from Guernsey.
Even things like playing in a playground when she was little, I had to think about what might have been on the playground equipment. Had somebody eaten hummus and touched it, would my daughter touch it? She'd rather be safe, so whenever it comes to making a choice, I've already seen her decline the most delicious looking cakes, just because we don't know what's in them.
Allergy is the most common chronic disease of childhood, and yet it's only in the last decade that GPs have been taught about it in medical school.
This is something that is the day-to-day reality for a huge number of people. And severe food allergy, as an example, affects 1 in 20 children. That's somebody in every single classroom with a potentially life-threatening food allergy. So this is something that if you ignore it at your peril, because bad things will happen if it's not taken seriously.
Well, at the conference today, we've heard stories that really do break your heart. And such is the seriousness of this, that in Jersey, a person is hospitalised nearly every single day because of allergy or anaphylaxis. In Guernsey, Environmental Health is reviewing the need for change and will report with their findings before the end of this year. Meanwhile, in Jersey...
Well, I've committed in the Assembly recently to bringing the law, all the laws and the legislation to the Assembly next year, and I will do that. It's been a bit more of a drawn-out process than I would have liked. Everybody would like to move faster, but I have committed and it will happen.
Today was a chance for campaigners to get their voices heard. They just hope the policymakers were listening and will act without any further delay.
Well, there is no doubt that the determination of Nadim and Tanya Ednan Laperouse has saved lives in the UK. Indeed, they've been told as much.
They now hope to achieve a similar change in the legislation here, but still at the heart of it, as they told me, what happened 8 years ago to their teenage daughter.
Well, Natasha, she had food allergies from when she was really little, and we, coped the best that we could, but there was very little support available to us. She died when she was 15 years old from an allergic reaction, and it was one that could have been avoided. She had bought eaten a baguette sandwich that had sesame seeds baked into the dough of the bread, so they couldn't be seen, but they weren't listed on the food ingredients label.
I was told that in Natasha's final moments she was actually in your arms as she passed away.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing for a parent to witness their child die and feel entirely helpless about it, as happened to me with Natasha on the aeroplane. Having given her 2 injections of adrenaline that made, in this case, no difference, she went into multiple cardiac arrest on the floor of the plane, and no amount of CPR and help from the paramedics that boarded the flight on arrival made any difference, and she passed away there. And this story continues, and Natasha's charity, really what we've been working for, is to end this.
Do you find there was any backlash at all?
At the time, yes, there was quite intense lobbying by the big food industry to government to not implement any changes, citing that this would be extra costs to business and also citing, it might cost jobs, basically. And of course, we knew that these were fearful tactics, really. And we continued to meet with government, the senior ministers, and we're very glad to say, they saw through, I think, some of the noise being made by the food industry, which was not justified, actually. And they implemented Natasha's law. And now the food industry, who we now know well in the UK and meet regularly, are all very happy that they've implemented Natasha's law, and it has not cost any jobs at all.
Why turn your focus to the Channel Islands?
Well, we have achieved quite a lot, we're told, in the UK, which is reassuring. And the changes, such as Natasha's law, are on many other islands, Isle of Man, all around the Shetland Islands. And it seems strange that the other islands that would be considered British, if you like, so the Channel Islands, in Jersey here and Guernsey, wouldn't also comply with this law.
We hear stories all the time through the charity of how people have said, today Natasha's law saved my child's life.
And how does it feel when people come to you and say, because of the work you've done, it's helped to save their life or the life of a loved one?
It's really emotional, actually, and particularly if it's a mother talking about her child. There's immediately that sense of, I know exactly how she feels. And I'm so happy for them because I know that's something Natasha would have loved, and she didn't really have that safeguarding, and that's exactly why she died, because the food label that she did trust wasn't accurate.
Tanya and Nadine, thank you so much for joining us and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, tragic but hugely powerful story there. And having been in the conference, Emma Volney joins us now. And Emma, so what are the chances then of the law actually being taken in both bailiwicks, do you think? And if so, what about a timescale?
Well, the law is going to change, but these things take time. We all know how long it takes the islands to make any kind of decision. I mean, just look how long it's taking Jersey to build a new hospital. Well, 2 words for you, very tender. Yeah. But today's conference was all about raising awareness, because you make change. Businesses can do that for themselves. But hearing from Natasha's parents just now really does make you think. In fact, it breaks your heart. She was just 15 years old when she died in her father's arms. No parent should ever have to experience that. And what they don't want is for another tragedy to be the thing that forces change. They need the islands to take this seriously.
Yeah, very well said, Emma. Thank you very much for that.